Why do you keep accepting what you don't want? Have you ever stopped to count how many times you said yes today? Yes to that meeting that could have been an email. Yes to the favor nobody else wanted to do. Yes to the commitment stealing your Saturday. And by the end of the day, you feel that weight in your chest, that sensation of living someone else's life. Why does this happen? Because nobody taught you that saying no isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. The truth is we've been programmed to please. Since childhood, you heard that being nice means being obedient, that saying yes makes you likable, accepted, part of the group. But nobody told you the price of that approval. A study from the University of California showed that people who struggle to say no have higher levels of stress, burnout, and even depression. You're not tired by accident. You're exhausted from carrying expectations that were never yours to begin with. Think about it. How many of your choices are actually yours? That job you keep because it's stable. That relationship you maintain because you've already invested so much time. That toxic friendship you tolerate because you have history. Every forced yes is a silent betrayal of who you really are. And the worst part, you know it. You feel it. When you're erasing yourself, when you're bending your truth to fit someone else's expectation. But here's the point nobody talks about. Saying yes all the time doesn't make you loved. It makes you convenient. People don't respect someone who's always available. They get used to it. You become that person who always figures it out, always fixes things, always gives in. And when you finally try to pull back, when you try to set a boundary, that's when the guilt comes. You've changed. You're being selfish. You're not the same person anymore. Exactly. Because you shouldn't be. Saying no isn't a door you slam in other people's faces. It's a door you open for yourself. It's the space you create to breathe, to think, to choose. Because freedom isn't doing everything people ask of you. Freedom is having the power to refuse what doesn't serve you. And that doesn't make you less generous. It makes you less available to be used. Did you know that no is a complete sentence? It doesn't need justification, explanation, or apology. But you were taught to soften it, to give elaborate excuses, to turn a refusal into a negotiation. I can't because I'm busy. Not now, but maybe next time. No, sorry, it's just that why do you need to apologize for having boundaries? The issue isn't about being inflexible, it's about being honest. When you say yes but mean no, you're lying to the other person and, mainly, to yourself. And that lie accumulates. It becomes resentment, frustration, silent rage. You explode over small things because you swallowed the big ones. So tell me, what are you protecting by saying yes? The image others have of you? The fear of being rejected? The illusion of control? Because in the end, you don't control anything. Accept your choices. And every time you choose to please instead of being truthful, you lose a piece of yourself. What do you really want to protect in your life? Drop it in the comments. And if this video made you rethink your choices, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. How the fear of disappointing others keeps you trapped. Have you noticed that the people who demand your availability the most are the same ones who are rarely available for you? That's not a coincidence. It's strategy. They identified something valuable in you, the inability to disappoint. And that, my friend, is your invisible prison. You're not trapped behind iron bars. You're trapped in expectations that aren't even yours. The fear of disappointing others doesn't come from nowhere. It's planted early. When you were a kid and heard, "Don't be difficult," when your parents praised you for being so helpful, when your teachers highlighted the well-behaved students, you learned that love is conditional. That acceptance has a price. And the price is yourself. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that people with high need for social approval experience less autonomy and life satisfaction. Translation: you're trading your happiness for crumbs of validation. But let's be direct here. How many of the people you work so hard to please actually know you? How many know what you dream about? What scares you? What moves you? Or do they only know what you can do for them? Because there's a brutal difference between being loved and being useful. You can be indispensable and still be invisible. And here's the part that hurts. You know this. You feel it when you're being used. When someone only reaches out when they need something. When your phone stays silent until a problem arises. But even so, you answer. Why? Because deep down, you still believe that if you do enough, if you give enough, one day, these people will reciprocate. Spoiler, they won't. The truth is, you're not afraid of disappointing others. You're afraid of being discarded, of discovering that if you're not useful, you're nothing. That's the toxic belief keeping you hostage. You confuse your value with your function. But you're not what you do for others. You're what you choose for yourself. Think about how many opportunities you've already lost because you were busy solving everyone's life except your own. How many projects you set aside. How many dreams you postponed. How many better versions of yourself were sacrificed at the altar of someone else's convenience. And the worst part, nobody asked for this. You volunteered, because saying no seemed scarier than losing yourself. But what if I told you that people respect boundaries? Not everyone, of course. The people who don't respect your boundaries don't respect you either. And those are exactly the people you need to distance yourself from. Because healthy relationships aren't sustained by your exhaustion. They're built on balance. And balance requires you to say no as much as you say yes. Have you noticed that the most fulfilled, most respected, most centered people are the ones who know how to refuse? They're not available all the time. They choose where to invest their energy, and that doesn't make them selfish. It makes them strategic. It makes them owners of their own lives. So answer me this. Are you living, or are you just responding? Because there's a huge difference between building a life and just putting out other people's fires. You weren't born to be everyone's solution. You were born to be the priority of your own existence. And that's not selfishness. It's justice. When was the last time you said no without justifying yourself? Share in the comments. And if you're realizing you need to reevaluate your priorities, leave your like and share this video. What if your no was the beginning of your transformation? Here's something nobody tells you. Saying no isn't the end of anything. It's the beginning of everything. When you finally say no to what diminishes you, you automatically open space for what expands you. But this requires courage. Because saying no means facing discomfort, judgment, the possibility of being misunderstood. And most people prefer the familiar prison to the risk of freedom. Think about it. How many times have you said yes and then spent hours, days, weeks regretting that decision? You felt the weight, the obligation, the remorse. But you kept going, doing, fulfilling. Why? Because you were afraid that a single no would destroy your reputation, your relationships, your image. But the truth is that whoever truly values you won't leave because you set a boundary. Who leaves are the people who were only there for what you offered, not for who you are. A study from Harvard University revealed that people who establish clear boundaries have deeper and more lasting relationships. That's right. Saying no doesn't push the right people away. It brings them closer. Because boundaries create respect. And respect creates genuine connection. You don't need to be available 24 hours to be loved. You need to be whole during the hours you choose to be present. But there's a problem. You were conditioned to believe that boundaries are walls. That saying no is building barriers. Lies. Boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges. Bridges that connect who you are with what you accept. When you don't have boundaries, you become invaded territory. Everyone enters, steps on you, uses you, and leaves. And you're left there, exhausted, wondering why nobody stays. The central question is this. Are you trying to be loved, or are you trying not to be abandoned? Because those are completely different things. When you act out of fear of being left, you attract people who stay precisely because you allow everything. And these people don't love you. They tolerate you. They got used to your docility, your infinite flexibility. You became comfortable, and comfort isn't love. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you start saying no. At first, it'll be strange. It'll feel like you're being rude, difficult, complicated. Some people will react badly. They'll test you, pressure you, make you feel guilty. That's expected. Because you're changing the rules of the game. And whoever benefited from the old rules won't like it. Let them go. But something interesting will happen. Gradually, you'll notice you have more time, more energy, more clarity. You'll start investing in things that actually matter. You'll start building the life you want, not the life others projected onto you. And the right people, they'll show up, because you'll finally have space for them. Saying no is revolutionary. It breaks the cycle of subservience disguised as generosity. It exposes the difference between authentic relationships and emotional transactions. It forces you to look in the mirror and ask, who am I when nobody's asking anything from me? And the answer to that question is liberating, because you discover that you don't need to be everything to everyone. You only need to be true to yourself. And that, my friend, is the only freedom statement that truly matters. You don't need to shout. You don't need to justify yourself. You just need to choose. And choosing always starts with a conscious no. When did you start realizing you needed more boundaries in your life? Drop it in the comments. If this content is making sense to you, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. How to turn no into your greatest power tool. Let's cut to the chase. You don't need permission to say no. You don't need a perfect reason, an elaborate justification, an excuse that convinces others. Your no isn't a negotiation. It's a declaration. And the more you treat it as something negotiable, the more you teach people to disrespect your boundaries. Here's the trick nobody taught you. Saying no is a skill. And like any skill, it improves with practice. In the beginning, it'll be uncomfortable. You'll feel guilt, anxiety, fear of hurting someone. But every no you say is a brick in the construction of your autonomy. You're not being cruel. You're being honest. And honesty, however uncomfortable it may be, is always more respectful than false agreement. But there's something deeper happening here. When you say no to others, you're saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your time, to your energy, to your dreams. Because every minute you spend doing something you don't want to do is a minute stolen from something that actually matters. And nobody's going to give that time back. Nobody's going to compensate for that wasted energy. A study from Columbia University demonstrated that people who exercise saying no regularly show higher self-esteem and sense of control over their lives. They don't wait for the world to change for them. They change their relationship with the world. And that makes all the difference. Because you don't control external demands, but you control your responses. And your responses define your reality. So how do you do this in practice? Start small. Start with the easy no's. That request you know you don't want to fulfill. That invitation you only accept out of politeness. That commitment you already know will drain you. Say no simply, without drama, without endless explanations. I can't this time, period. And observe what happens. Most people will accept it. Some will insist. And that's when you discover who actually respects you. Because respect isn't agreeing with everything. Respect is accepting that you have the right to choose. And if someone doesn't accept your no, that person never respected your yes. They just got used to your availability. Now, I want you to understand something fundamental. Saying no doesn't make you a difficult person. It makes you a real person. Because real people have boundaries. Real people have priorities. Real people know they can't be everything to everyone without ceasing to be something to themselves. And that's not weakness. It's wisdom. You spent so much time trying not to disappoint others that you forgot the person you disappoint the most is yourself. Every time you give in when you wanted to resist. Every time you smile when you wanted to refuse. Every time you erase yourself to fit someone else's expectation. You're betraying the only person who should be on your side. You. So here's your mission. If you choose to accept it, start saying no. It doesn't have to be radical. It doesn't have to be aggressive. But it has to be real. Because your life won't change until you change what you accept. And what you accept begins and ends with your choices. And choosing isn't selfishness. It's responsibility. Responsibility to who you really are and who you want to become. Your no isn't the end of anything. It's the affirmation of everything. That you matter. That your time has value. That your peace is non-negotiable. And that, my friend, is the only freedom nobody can take from you. The freedom to choose. The freedom to refuse. The freedom to be yourself without apologizing. What's going to be your first conscious no? Share in the comments. And if this video helped you see things differently, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this.